The icy grip of the concrete beneath him made Arthur Sterling flinch as the first, still timid rays of light painted the grey interior of the attic. Not the morning birdsong, but a gnawing emptiness in his stomach announced the arrival of a new day, a day demanding a hunt. His muscles ached from the dampness, from the raw cold, but he didn't want to get up. Here, among the dusty beams and forgotten things, it was familiar, a peculiar, pathetic refuge, where at least he didn't have to pretend. But time is a relentless overseer. Arthur groaned as he rose, brushing off invisible dirt. His reflection flickered in a piece of broken glass, a face crisscrossed with wrinkles, like an old map of pain and loss. Grey had bleached his temples, but the eyes beneath his heavy brows burned with an unnaturally sharp, piercing cold. The eyes of a man who had seen too much for anything to surprise or break him. Sometimes this gaze frightened even himself with its detachment, its readiness to stare into the abyss. He went outside into the morning, smelling of exhaust fumes and damp asphalt, the jingle of a few coins in his pocket, a pathetic capital for the day, enough for the bare minimum to stave off starvation. He didn't scavenge in trash. That was his last non-negotiable line of defence. Pride, that thin ice over the chasm, wouldn't allow it. He always found a way, hauling heavy loads at the market, sweeping a yard where he'd gained some recognition. Here, in this neighbourhood, people knew him. Some even nodded hellos, ignoring his tattered clothes. The coins were even enough for a small bun and a carton of yogurt drink. Walking past the bulky containers, he merely glanced at the figures hunched over them. No judgment, no pity, just bitter understanding and a stubborn inner vow. I won't be like that. In the small bakery, he didn't expect a refusal. The saleswoman, a young woman with perpetual tiredness in her eyes, was used to his appearance. She was already reaching for the bread shelf, but Arthur stopped her. A bun with raisins and a yogurt. His voice was low, hoarse, but devoid of pleading. After paying, he found a spot on a chipped curb. The warmth of the pastry, the tartness of the yogurt, a brief moment of oblivion before the new uncertainty. Tomorrow required preparation today. He stood up. Time to look for work. Trying to find some random job, he wandered along the sidewalk, lost in thought, when a sharp whistle cut through the air. The next moment, a bright flash whizzed past him, a boy on a wildly speeding electric scooter. The speed was suicidal. The teenager barely managed to swerve, miraculously avoiding a collision. The scooter stopped at a traffic light. The light turned green. The boy was already preparing to dart off, but an instinct forged by years of danger worked faster than Arthur's mind. A lunge, a grip on the fabric of the t-shirt, the screech of brakes, and the roar of a car speeding past barely a foot from where the scooter had just been. "Are you tired of living?" Arthur's voice was cracked, ringing with the shock he had just experienced. His own fear gave way to furious, protective anger. The boy froze, pale as a ghost. But... It was green. Green doesn't make you bulletproof against idiots. Arthur let go of him. On the road, you look ahead. You don't just stare at the lights. Realization hit the teenager hard. A tremor ran through his thin body. I understand. Thank you, sir. You saved me. Arthur waved him off. It's nothing. What was the rush? He wanted to steer the conversation away from the dangerous moment. To my dad. He works nearby. To your father? Good. Can you make it yourself, or maybe I can walk you? The boy, still shaken, eagerly seized the offer. Please walk me. I'll feel safer that way. All right, Arthur nodded. My name's Arthur. And I'm Leo. The boy's voice grew stronger. Dad's office is really close. Let's go faster. I'll tell him everything. He'll definitely thank you. His words carried the unwavering confidence of childhood. I don't need anything, Arthur replied. A son's life had no price. That's for me to decide. Leo looked him in the eye stubbornly and smiled. They walked. A silent pair, the old man in a threadbare jacket, and the boy with the scooter, who had almost been killed on the road. Leo was probably replaying the conversation with his father in his head. Arthur was thinking about how and where to find work for tomorrow, that eternal, oppressive question. The thought of dumpsters rose from the depths of his consciousness, and he suppressed it with double force. A gleaming black sedan pulled up to the curb. Leo, forgetting everything else, darted towards the car. A tall man in an impeccable suit got out, heading for the entrance of a 2-story building. He turned, hearing his son's call. "Hi, Dad!" Leo ran up and hugged his father tightly as he bent down. "Leo!" "Hi, son! How did you get here? You were supposed to go to practice with your mom." Victor Blackwood took off his glasses, looking closely at the boy's face. "Mom's making dinner. I decided to come myself. And the coach is sick. Practice was cancelled," Leo blurted out. "I see." Victor took his son's hand and led him towards the building. "Well, all right, let's go." "Dad, wait. I have to tell you something. Just don't worry, okay?" Leo's voice became serious again. "I'll try." Victor felt a pang of anxiety. "There! 2 blocks away. A car almost hit me," Leo blurted out, not softening the blow. Victor turned pale. "What? How? Were you speeding on the scooter again? Are you all right? Nothing broken?" He began frantically examining his son. "I'm fine, don't worry. This man saved me." Leo pointed at Arthur, who was standing a little behind them. This vagrant." Victor's gaze became wary, assessing. "Why is he with you? And where's your scooter?" "This man saved my life," Leo repeated firmly, looking at his father defiantly. All right. I'm sorry." Victor was flustered. What does he want?" "Nothing. He just walked me here so I'd be safe. I want you to thank him." Leo quickly recounted what had happened. Victor, trusting his son, told him to go inside to the office. He himself walked up to Arthur. "Thank you for saving my son." Victor extended his hand without hesitation. Arthur shook it. A warm, firm palm, a contrast to his perpetual coldness. "It was nothing. Anyone in my place." Arthur returned the scooter. "How can I thank you?" Victor asked. Arthur saw a successful man, capable of paying any amount. I don't need anything. I just did what I had to," he replied, avoiding his gaze. Asking for charity was repulsive. "No, that won't do." "You saved my child's life," Victor was adamant. "Let's go into the office. I'll figure out how to thank you, not with money." At the security desk, they were stopped by the head of security, a hulking figure in uniform. "Good morning, Mr. Blackwood," he stated. "Hello, George. How's the service?" "Uneventful." "Excellent." Victor went inside but stopped, noticing the hesitation behind him. "Hold it." George Baker blocked Arthur's path. "Where are you going? This is private property." "I was invited," Arthur replied, a little flustered. "Get out of here before I have to escort you." The guard barked, looking at him with distaste. Arthur backed away. He didn't need conflict. "George! He's with me!" Victor returned to the entrance. "Sorry, I didn't realize." George Baker stepped aside, letting the old man pass with an apologetic look. In the office, Victor sat down at his desk. He looked intently at Arthur. This man had saved his son, and he couldn't just let him leave. "So, my name is Victor Blackwood. I own this company. Everything has a price, and my son's life is priceless. Tell me, what do you want? I truly don't need anything." Arthur didn't sit in the chair opposite, remaining standing. "No, I won't let you leave until we resolve this. My conscience won't allow it. I don't know what to say. I have everything," Arthur shrugged, avoiding his gaze. Victor couldn't help himself. "You have what? You're homeless." "I have a roof over my head, and I'm not starving," Arthur replied, his voice growing quieter. "The rest, we'll see how it goes." "Since you won't take money," Victor pondered, "I'll give you an opportunity. Not a fish, but a fishing rod." An idea struck him. "What do you mean?" "I'm offering you a job. A cleaner. The salary isn't much, but it will allow you to live like a human being. This will cover my moral obligations. Agree?" Arthur froze. A job, a roof over his head, a decent life. It was too good to be true. But Victor's gaze was serious. I need to think." "1 minute." Victor looked at his watch. "My time is scheduled. 1 minute to decide his fate. Freeze in the attic, or accept this. Help? All right, I agree. I'll prove that I'm still capable of providing for myself. I don't need handouts." "Excellent," Victor smiled. "I'll make arrangements now to get you registered, and we'll assign you a utility room. You can live there." He picked up the phone. "Fiona Miller, come in. Register a new employee, a cleaner, and prepare a utility room for him to live in, an advance for the first few days." Listening to Victor, Arthur felt a strange dizziness. A roof over his head, his own room. Not the attic, not concrete. He felt awkward, almost humiliated by this kindness, but he understood. This was a chance he couldn't miss. He wouldn't last the winter in the attic. "Thank you. You're very kind," he said, looking up at Victor. "I hope I can repay you." A shadow of something distant, incomprehensible, flickered in his gaze. Understanding that his presence was taking up time, Arthur left the office and hurried towards the security desk. A couple of minutes later, she appeared, tall, striking, in a short skirt. Fiona Miller. He immediately understood. She was looking for him. "Arthur Sterling?" she asked, barely glancing at him, her voice dripping coolness. "Yes, that's me," he replied. He straightened up slightly. "Victor Blackwood told me to register you." "Do you have documents?" she asked, not hiding her disdain. "No," Arthur answered curtly. Documents? His life remained far away, in a past he had so carefully concealed. "All right, we'll figure it out." She introduced herself. "Fiona Miller." "It's a pleasure." Her eyes said, "Not really." She was about 25, but she carried herself like a lady. Her squeamishness didn't surprise him. That's how everyone had looked at him for years. The utility room turned out to be a small room. A bed, a table, a small closet. A real room. He barely suppressed a sigh. This was salvation. "I need to step out for a couple of hours," he said to Fiona Miller, "to get my things. I'll be back by evening and start first thing in the morning." "As you wish," she replied, turning away. Outside, he saw Leo. The boy was zooming around the guards on his scooter. "Thank you, Leo," Arthur said. You helped me a lot." "Did Dad thank you?" Leo asked, clearly expecting to hear about a mountain of money. "Yes, Victor Blackwood is a very good man," Arthur replied. "But why are you empty-handed?" Leo was observant. "You said he's good, but he didn't give you anything?" "I didn't take the money, but he gave me a job." Arthur smiled, gently clapping him on the shoulder. "Too bad. I'd rather have the money. 100,000. Or 1,000,000. Leo dreamed of wealth. "You're young, you need a lot." "I need very little now," Arthur said. "All right, Leo, I'll see you around." He said goodbye and walked to his attic. A few hours later, he returned with his single, battered backpack. George Baker looked at him warily, but let him through. An order was an order. He merely warned the young guard, Ryan, about the new employee. Morning began with cool water in the communal shower. For the first time in years, he felt truly clean. Removing the top of his old shirt, he saw a mark of the past on his forearm. A faded but clear tattoo. Military. He turned away from the mirror. No time for memories. He put on a clean though worn shirt. Took his tools. Taking a mop and bucket, he began washing the floors. Quickly, almost silently, so as to finish before the employees arrived. Then he went outside with a broom. George Baker arrived early. He saw the old man at work. The scuffle from the day before was still bothering him. "Good morning, Arthur Sterling," he began. "Our introduction wasn't great. I'm George Baker, head of security. I've worked here since Victor Blackwood's father's time." "Good morning, George," Arthur replied calmly. "It happens." He took off his gloves and extended his hand. The guard shook it firmly. A couple of minutes later, Ryan came over. Young, well-built, with an arrogant look on his face. "Hey, I'm Ryan, George's assistant," he said, looking at Arthur with the broom with open contempt. "Good morning. Arthur Sterling," the old man replied, continuing to sweep. "What did the boss hire a tramp for?" Ryan asked sharply. "For the same reason he hired you." Arthur's reply was instantaneous, sharp. Ryan was taken aback, then flushed. "You... What did you say?" He was ready to pounce. Arthur tightened his grip on the broom, adopting a stance. His old body still remembered. He wasn't afraid. "Stop this immediately," George Baker roared, coming out of the building. "We didn't do anything." Arthur smiled, looking at Ryan. With a single glance he showed that the fight would not have been in the young man's favour. "It's all right," Ryan muttered, angry, and went to change. "Don't pay him any mind," George Baker said. "He's a decent guy, just cautious." "It happens," Arthur replied calmly. He didn't hold grudges. Employees began arriving, hurrying inside, not looking at the cleaner. Fiona Miller glided past, not deigning him a glance. Finishing outside, Arthur went inside, put away his tools, took out the trash. Ryan continued to watch him furtively, expecting a trick. George Baker noticed. "Ryan, your job is security. The cleaner isn't your responsibility." Closer to lunchtime, Eleanor Vance, the chief accountant, arrived. A plump, kindly woman. Today, Leo was with her. The previous evening, the boy had told his mother about being saved. Eleanor Vance had baked a pie. After greeting the guards, she headed towards the utility room. Leo opened the door. Eleanor Vance entered with the pie. Arthur was taken aback. "Hello." "For me?" he asked, not expecting visitors. "Hi, Arthur, of course for you." Leo peeked from behind his mother. "Hello, I'm Eleanor Vance, Leo's mother," the woman said, beaming with kindness. "It's a pleasure," Arthur quickly made space, feeling awkward. "Everything Leo told me." "Is it true?" Eleanor Vance asked, the fear for her son still in her eyes. "Depending on what he told you," Arthur replied evasively. "That you saved his life. That if it weren't for you—" "He exaggerates a bit," Arthur said, "but it could have ended badly. Very badly." "The little rascal." Eleanor Vance sighed, setting down the pie. "How many times have I told him to watch out?" "Don't scold him," Arthur interjected. "He was doing everything right, waiting for the green light. It's just someone was in a big hurry, or decided to break the rules." He hinted at the car. "Maybe. There are plenty of fools behind the wheel," Eleanor Vance agreed. "And not just behind the wheel," Arthur smiled. He decided to lighten the mood. The woman smiled back. She understood. Behind the stern exterior was an interesting person. Arthur made tea, awkwardly cut the pie. He showed himself to be a hospitable host. They chatted for a while. Eleanor Vance thanked him again and hugged him goodbye. Leo stayed behind. He found the old man interesting. The next morning, Arthur was up at dawn again, cleaning, freshening up in the shower, taking his tools, cleaning inside, going outside. At the entrance, he bumped into a plump, middle-aged woman. It was hard to get past. "Excuse me, may I?" Arthur asked politely. "Oh, hello, of course." She stepped aside. "Thank you." He hurried outside. "Wait, I haven't seen you before," she called out. "I've only been working here for 2 days. Perhaps we haven't crossed paths." "Ah, I see. I was on vacation. I'm Eleanor Vance, the chief accountant. It's a pleasure, Arthur Sterling." "My position, I think, doesn't need explaining," he said, sweeping. "Yes, I understand. Very nice to meet you." Eleanor Vance hurried into the office. 15 minutes later, Victor Blackwood's car pulled up. He saw Arthur by the entrance. He stopped. "Good morning, Arthur Sterling. How are you finding the new place?" "Good morning, Mr. Blackwood." "Thank you. I like it." "Settled into the utility room? Is there enough space?" "Yes, much better than the old place. Especially the shower is a treat. And the kettle." Everything for the people, Victor smiled. You're a good man. Thank you, Arthur replied, slightly embarrassed. Too bad not everyone thinks so. Have you seen Eleanor Vance, the chief accountant? If you mean her, she's already here. Excellent. Then I'll go in. Victor hurried into the office. A couple of days later, Eleanor Vance brought pies to work. She looked for Arthur outside, couldn't find him, decided to wait until lunchtime. During the lunch break, she headed to the utility room. Arthur was putting the kettle on. Hello, I've come to see you, she smiled. Come in, please sit down, Arthur fussed. Don't fuss. Let's just have some tea. She placed a bag on the table. Pies. The smell was intoxicating. Are these for me? Arthur asked, embarrassed. He had almost forgotten what it was like to have someone care. Of course, for you. I love to bake, Eleanor Vance replied. Thank you. I'm very touched. He looked around, searching for something to give in return. There was nothing. Awkwardness washed over him. Excuse me, he went out. He ran to the nearest store and bought a bar of chocolate. Here, this is for you, he said shyly, offering the gift. You shouldn't have, but thank you. It's lovely. They drank tea. Conversation flowed easily, as if there were no chasm of status and wealth between them. Eleanor Vance turned out to be kind, simple. She talked about her grandchildren. The break ended. She hurried off. A couple of minutes after she left, there was a knock on the door. It was Leo. He saw the pies. His eyes lit up. Hi. Wow. Pies. Can I have one? Hi. Of course. Help yourself. Arthur couldn't refuse. Delicious, Leo exclaimed, taking a bite. A treat from someone. There are good people around. Arthur was pleased by the attention. Where's Dad? The secretary said he went somewhere. Doesn't explain anything as usual, Leo complained. He disliked Fiona Miller. I don't know, Leo. I saw him leave. He didn't say where. OK then, I'll just sit with you if you don't mind. I don't mind, Arthur smiled. Leo was a bright spot in his new life. I have a better idea. Do you like chess? Leo wrinkled his nose. I don't know. I'm more into soccer. I can't kick a ball around anymore. Arthur pointed to his sore knees. But believe me, chess is a battle too. No less exciting. He pulled out an old homemade set he had found in the utility room. He began teaching the boy, showing him tricks. A few days later, Victor Blackwood arrived at work closer to lunchtime. He called for George Baker. While the head of security was with the boss, Ryan went to the restroom. Just for a minute. At that exact moment, a drunk man stumbled into the office. He had clearly mistaken the door. Not finding anything to drink, he started causing a commotion. Arthur, who was cleaning on the floor, heard the noise. He went downstairs, quickly assessed the situation. Without a second thought, he crept up behind the drunk man and restrained him. At the same moment, Ryan rushed out of the restroom, and behind him, George Baker. Are you out of your mind? George Baker yelled at Ryan. You left your post. What if that had been a maniac? I was just for a second. You're getting a fine. I'll tell Eleanor Vance to deduct it from your salary. George Baker helped Arthur escort the troublemaker outside. That's not fair. Ryan protested. Thank Arthur Sterling. And be grateful Victor Blackwood didn't see this. Otherwise, you'd be looking for another job already. Thanks, Ryan squeezed out, reluctantly shaking the old man's hand. It was nothing, Arthur replied calmly, returning to his mop. From that day on, his relationship with the guards changed. Respect emerged. They started talking, sharing small details of life. George Baker invited Arthur and Ryan to his place in the country, to relax, to have a barbecue. Ryan agreed immediately. Arthur felt awkward. George Baker insisted. At his country place, George Baker made Ryan chop wood. Then they grilled meat and ate. They had a little to drink. George Baker suggested the sauna. No one refused. In the sauna, in the heat, in the clouds of steam, they started talking openly. Arthur Sterling, what's that tattoo on your arm? Ryan asked, noticing the design on his forearm. It's "A memory," Arthur replied. He didn't want to talk about it. "Military, right?" George Baker showed his own. Similar symbolism, but George's design was newer, more detailed. "Yes, Afghanistan," Arthur said. His mood soured. "It's not just on my arm." "Sorry, we didn't mean to pry," George Baker said. "It's all right. Maybe I'll tell you someday." Arthur changed the subject. They returned from the country. Entering the utility room, Arthur noticed something was off. Things were moved. Someone had been here. He didn't dwell on it, tidied up, and went to sleep. In the morning, sweeping near the entrance, he saw a tall, thin man in his 60s, a scar above his eyebrow. He didn't pay attention. He saw Victor Blackwood's car. The man got out. Victor's face instantly changed. It became tense, cold. The men exchanged brief handshakes and went into the office, heading for Victor's private office. Arthur felt something was wrong. He followed. Loud voices could be heard from the office. Raised tones. Getting closer was dangerous. Losing his job. That's how it could end. Half an hour later, the thin man stormed out of the office. Getting into an expensive car, he drove off sharply. A couple of minutes later, Victor came out. Angry. Arthur asked if everything was all right. Victor waved him off and also drove away in a hurry. "Who was that?" Arthur asked George Baker. "The one in the office. Thorne. Robert Thorne," George Baker replied, his face serious. "A crime boss from the 90s. Done time more than once. Now, a respected businessman. But his methods are the same. Gives you the creeps, you know." "What does he want with Victor?" "He wants to buy the company. He even came to Victor's father." The father refused. He harassed him with arguments until he had a heart attack. Now he's after the son. Especially after we won a big tender. Trouble. Arthur nodded. The situation was dangerous. Seeing Leo approaching, Arthur's face lit up with a smile. The boy had come to see his father, but finding him gone, he offered Arthur a game of chess. Arthur agreed. Leo beat him. Soon, George Baker joined them. He played with Leo, then with Arthur. He lost both games to his surprise. Not understanding what was going on, he returned to his post. Leo beat Arthur again. He admitted he had been practicing at home to surprise his teacher. A few days later, while tidying Fiona Miller's desk, Arthur awkwardly knocked a folder. It fell into the bucket of dirty water. "What have you done? Are you completely brainless?" Fiona Miller flew over, snatched the wet folder and threw it at him. "I'm sorry. It wasn't on purpose. I'll dry it." Arthur felt guilty. "Dry it? What are you going to dry? You'll go to Victor Blackwood now. You'll explain it to him." "Fiona, what's all the shouting?" Eleanor Vance came out of her office. "This old man. He dropped a folder of documents into the dirt." "What documents?" "The quarterly report. And contracts." "And why are you shouting?" "Everything is in the database. We'll retype it, sign it," Eleanor Vance said calmly, defending Arthur. She saw it was an accident. "Thank you," Arthur said quietly to Eleanor Vance as he left for the utility room, not wanting to provoke Fiona Miller further. Leo continued to visit. He found Arthur interesting despite the age difference. He talked about soccer, about school, about home life. The chess game became a ritual. The next day, before lunch, Eleanor Vance stopped by Arthur's room. She invited him to a small reception. It was her birthday. Arthur tried to refuse. He didn't want to cross paths with Fiona Miller, but he couldn't say no to the kind woman. He ran to the store and bought a box of chocolates. He congratulated her. At the reception, Fiona Miller tried to provoke him, but Eleanor Vance, Ryan, now more friendly, and other employees came to his defence. The workday ended. Arthur was cleaning up after the reception. George Baker stayed behind, watching him. "Listen, Arthur Sterling, maybe we should play chess," he asked, hoping to get a win. "I think it's useless," Arthur smiled. "Why's that?" "I've had a lot of time to perfect my skill. There's no point competing with me." "Come on, I'll win at least once," the god declared confidently. "All right, get the board ready. I'll be there in 5 minutes," Arthur replied. They played several games in the utility room. George Baker lost time after time. Finally, frustrated like a child, he pushed the board away. "That's it! I don't want to play any more." A few days later, sweeping near the entrance, Arthur saw a familiar expensive car. Fiona Miller got out of it. He tried to disappear unnoticed, but she saw him. She walked towards him. He had to stop. "Good morning, Arthur Sterling." "Good morning, Fiona Miller." His voice was perfectly polite. "There's a corporate event tomorrow evening. The company's 20-year anniversary. Everything needs to be perfectly clean, inside and out." "All right, it will be done," Arthur replied, avoiding unnecessary words. "Excellent. Thank you for your understanding," she said calmly, and went into the office. Arthur was surprised. No scolding, no reproaches. The conflict seemed to be over. He worked late, preparing the office for the celebration. Tired, he went to sleep hungry. Early in the morning, he drank some tea and started cleaning again. Around 8, Victor Blackwood arrived. "Good morning, Arthur Sterling. Didn't forget about the corporate event?" "Good morning, Mr. Blackwood." "How could I forget? I'm trying to make sure there are no issues." "I see. You're doing a good job, but I wanted to ask you about something else. How else can I be of service? Is it true that you restrained a drunk man while the guards were asleep?" Victor looked him directly in the eyes. "No, you must be mistaken," Arthur lied, not wanting to put the guards in trouble. "Don't worry, I won't fire them. Eleanor Vance told me. Can you help the guards keep an eye on things? There will be many guests. Strangers." "All right, as you say," Arthur agreed. "Excellent. Until lunchtime, you're a cleaner. After that, you're under George Baker's command." Closer to evening, expensive cars began arriving. Guests. Among them, Arthur noticed Thorne, the one with the scar. Judging by the tense interaction and shouting, the conversation with Victor earlier in the day wasn't the last one. Arthur watched Thorne, feeling an inexplicable anxiety. Something about this man caused an inner resistance. The party went on for several hours. Laughter, music, conversations. Guests were leaving. Only Thorne wasn't in a hurry. Arthur was distracted for a couple of minutes. Eleanor Vance asked for help calling a taxi. When he turned back, he had lost sight of Thorne. Inspecting the building, Arthur heard voices from Victor's office. He listened closely. Victor and Thorne. An argument. In raised tones. "You don't understand what you're giving up." Thorne's voice sounded like grating metal. "I repeat, I'm not interested in merging." "Not for any amount of money," Victor replied firmly. "Listen, stop playing games. I need this company. I'll get it." "My father refused you." "I will refuse you too." Victor's voice turned cold. "Where is he now?" "He's gone." "Use your head," Thorne pressed. "I am thinking. My father built this from nothing. I won't sell. For that kind of money, you could build 10 just like it. I need this company. I won't betray my employees, nor my father's memory, nor myself. The conversation is over." Victor's voice broke into a shout. All right, we'll see." "You'll pay dearly for this decision," Thorne said threateningly. "Is that a threat? I can call security." "Threats? I'm warning you. Everything has a price. You'll regret this." Thorne left the office. "Good evening, Mr. Blackwood. Is everything all right?" Arthur asked, entering the office after Thorne left. He had heard everything. "Good evening, Arthur Sterling." "Yes, everything is fine." Victor was noticeably nervous. "All right. Excuse me." Arthur went to the utility room. Soon he heard Victor drive away in a hurry. Thorne's threats weren't empty. George Baker said he was dangerous. Arthur felt that Victor was in trouble. How could he help? A week after the corporate event, documents disappeared from Victor's office. Important ones. They searched everywhere. It wasn't an accident. A mole. Victor gathered everyone, demanded they be returned. No one confessed. He called for George Baker. "George, there's trouble in the office. Documents are missing." "Yes, I know. What do we do?" "We need to install hidden cameras throughout the office." "Good idea." "It's Very sensitive. No one must know. There's a traitor among us. I understand. Caution is key. Then handle it, and no one should know. It will be done. George Baker began looking for specialists. They found some people. After work, they installed the cameras. George Baker monitored the recordings himself. He didn't even trust Ryan. Days passed. No results. Before the weekend, George Baker suggested that Arthur go to his country place again, to relax in the sauna. Arthur agreed. They were driving in George Baker's car. They stopped at a supermarket for meat and drinks. George Baker got out, leaving Arthur in the car. At that moment, an expensive sedan pulled up in front of them. Familiar. Arthur had seen it. Near his office, a young woman got out of the car. Fiona Miller, the secretary. He remembered. It was Thorne's car. Fiona and Thorne? They knew each other? The thought of it was chilling. She was connected to him. He understood. She was the one who stole the documents. George Baker returned. They drove to the country house. In the sauna, Ryan asked about the tattoo again. A memory, Arthur replied. Something happened, George Baker asked, noticing his pensiveness. Oh, nothing special. Arthur didn't want to talk. Maybe you can share. Maybe I can help. Thank you, guys. It's my puzzle. I have to solve it myself. If there's something concrete, I'll tell you. He knew. Fiona was the mole. Connected to Thorne. She stole the documents. They returned in the morning. George Baker dropped him off at the office. While going about his usual duties, Arthur couldn't get what he had seen out of his head. Fiona and Thorne, the documents. Waiting for Victor to arrive, Arthur understood. He had to speak up. He put down the broom, walked over to Victor's car. Good morning, Mr. Blackwood. Do you have a few minutes? He asked. His appearance showed he was troubled. Good morning, Arthur Sterling. Something wrong? I think so. Let's go to your office. All right. I'll be waiting. Arthur entered the office. The broom remained in the utility room. Come in. Victor gestured for him to sit. So, what's this about? Yesterday, George and I went to his place in the country. We stopped at a store. I stayed in the car. An expensive car parked in front of us. And it looked familiar. And when a woman got out, Fiona Miller, I remembered where I had seen that car. Victor frowned. Are you sure I'm interested in this? People have private lives. Perhaps. But it was Thorne's car. I'm sorry to pry, but I heard your conversation with him. I know your relationship is strained. Victor froze. You're saying that Thorne and Fiona know each other? Exactly. And it seems to me it's not just a coincidence. I hope you haven't told anyone about this. Anxiety crept into Victor's voice. No. I understand how delicate this is. I haven't discussed it with anyone. Only with you. All right. Thank you for your vigilance. You can go back to work. And please don't tell anyone. Of course. You can rest assured. Arthur left. Victor remained alone, processing what he had heard. Fiona and Thorne. Documents. It couldn't be a coincidence. Fiona was the perfect candidate for the mole, but there was no proof. He called Arthur back in. What do you think? What's the likelihood that it's Fiona? I don't want my personal feelings to influence this, Arthur replied. But if I look at it objectively, the chances are high. You know Thorne isn't your friend. Everyone in the office knows that. If Fiona socialises with him, rides in his car, you can't rule out that possibility. I agree. It's suspicious. How do we prove it? I don't know. You'd know best. I have a plan forming. How to test it? Victor thought for a moment. If it's a good plan, why not try it? After the documents were stolen, I installed hidden cameras. Victor trusted the old man. And what then? What if we provoke Fiona? Tell her I have new, very important documents? Victor voiced his idea. That might work. But carefully, so she doesn't suspect anything. All right, we'll do that. Thank you for listening. Victor dismissed Arthur and stayed to ponder the details. Before the end of the day, Victor left his office. Eleanor Vance! A minute! Yes, Mr. Blackwood. The chief accountant hurried out of her office. Here's a folder of documents. It needs signatures, the seal. Check all the amounts. New contracts. $1 million deal. We need to make sure no one can find fault. He spoke loudly enough for Fiona Miller to hear everything. After entrusting Eleanor Vance with the task, he asked her to return the folder to his desk after signing. As he left, he said goodbye to the staff. Eleanor Vance checked, signed, and returned it to Victor's desk. The workday ended. Employees left. Fiona Miller lingered. Lots of work. As soon as the office was empty, she slipped into Victor's office. A couple of minutes later, she came out with the folder, put it in her bag, and left. In the morning, Victor was the first to arrive. Straight to his office. The folder was gone. The trick had worked. He called for George Baker, told him to show the recording from the camera in the office. He saw it. Fiona. Stealing. Arthur was right. He waited for Fiona to arrive, called her into his office. Good morning, Fiona. Is there anything you want to say? Victor gave her a chance. Good morning, Mr. Blackwood. I don't understand what you mean. Fiona didn't suspect the cameras yet. I want to show you a funny video. Please sit down. He turned the monitor towards her. The video. Fiona stealing the folder. You misunderstood. I was afraid someone would steal it again. I took it home. Desperate lies. Is that so? Maybe we can go to your place. You can give them back to me. Victor knew she was lying. No, that won't be possible, Fiona wilted. Perhaps because they're already with Thorne. Mr. Robert Thorne? Fiona flinched. How did you know? I know everything. Victor looked at her meaningfully. You don't understand. He forced me. He threatened me. He blackmailed me. He threatened you so badly that you ride in his car and buy champagne together. Fiona was silent, exposed. I'm sorry, I won't fail you again. She started crying. Of course you won't. You're fired. Pack your things. Be out of here in an hour. Why like this, I promise. Shall I call security? You have an hour. Time starts now. Victor's voice was icy. Fiona rushed out of the office, packed her things, and left forever. Victor calmed down. He called Arthur, told him what had happened. Arthur was worried about the documents, but Victor explained they were fake. Bait. Thank you, Arthur Sterling. You helped me a lot. Victor wrote him a bonus check. I'm in your debt again. Thorne wouldn't stop. Victor understood. He had to act. He went to the police station. Detective Mark Jenkins? Victor asked, looking into the office. Good morning. That's me. How can I help you? The detective replied calmly. A private conversation. Come in. Sit down. Tell me about it. I'm Victor Blackwood, owner of Monolith Company. Heard of it? I even knew your father, Mr. Stephen. How can I help? I have a conflict with a competitor, Robert Thorne. He threatened me. Recently, documents were stolen. We figured out the mole, my secretary. I'm afraid he won't stop. Knowing his past, we know Thorne, the detective nodded. We have many reports against him. Tried surveillance, finding evidence. Everything's clean, not a single flaw. Is there really nothing that can be done? File a statement. We'll start surveillance. Maybe it will yield something, but I can't promise. We need significant evidence, an open violation. The detective extended a form and a pen. Victor wrote the statement, said goodbye, drove home. Becoming more cautious, Victor checked the camera recordings every day. For several days, nothing suspicious. Hope grew. Maybe Fiona was the only traitor. One day, he was reviewing a recording. He froze. On the screen, Arthur, removing the top part of his uniform before the shower room. On his forearm, a tattoo. Victor was speechless. He had seen one like it before. Where? His memory was sounding an alarm. Home. Old photographs. His mother's jewellery box. Arriving home, Victor rushed to the storage room. Found the box among the clutter. Old photos. A photo of his father. Died in Afghanistan. 30 years ago. His gaze fell on the arm, where the tattoo should be. There it was. Exactly the same. Like Arthur's. He didn't sleep all night. He went to the kitchen, lit a cigarette, opening the window. Memories flooded him. His mother received the death notification. Grief. Moving to another city. A hard life. The appearance of Mr. Stephen. A kind, wealthy man. He loved his mother. And he loved him, Cyril. Mr. Stephen had no children. He adopted him. Gave him his surname, his patronymic. Left him the business. Victor loved him as a real father. But he remembered the other one. The real one. In the morning at 6 o'clock, Victor was already at the office. The photograph in his hand. He went to the utility room. Knocked. Arthur opened it, surprised. Victor entered, sat on the bed. He was silent. His face was ashen. "Good morning, Mr. Blackwood." "Something wrong?" "Something is wrong." His voice was hollow. "Why are you silent?" "Tell me." Victor threw the photograph onto the table. Arthur took a step, looked at the photo, froze. Tears welled up in his eyes. Where did you get this?" His voice trembled. "That photo is of my parents. And this is me. Small. This can't be." Arthur sank into a chair. "Nevertheless, it is. It doesn't matter how we met 30 years later. What matters? Why didn't you come back? To us? To your mother?" Victor looked at him, at his biological father. I can explain." Arthur began to tell his story. "Afghanistan, tank battalion, order to retreat, hit tank, crew killed. He got out, captivity, long years, couldn't return, no money, worked for food, saved for years for a ticket, returned. At home, strangers. No one knew where his wife and son had gone. Search, police, friends, fruitless, homeless. Got a job as a security guard at a club. Money appeared. Hope. To hire a detective. To find them. But a scuffle. 3 golden boys. A girl. He defended her. Injured one. His father was a prosecutor. Prison. A long sentence. Released. No chance of finding them. Moved here. To avoid meeting familiar faces. Ashamed. Became a vagrant. He finished. Tears streamed down his face. "Don't cry, Father." Victor walked over, sat next to him, put an arm around him. You really had very little chance." "Why?" "Mother received the death notification. Grieved for a long time. Then she pulled herself together, sold the apartment, moved to another city, met Mr. Stephen, became his wife, changed her surname. He was very, very kind to me. He adopted me, gave me his surname, patronymic. He had no children. He immediately took to me. He wanted to replace you. I struggled for a long time. But he was so kind. I grew to love him, like a father. He died 10 years ago. He left the company to me. Last summer, Mom passed away." Victor told him everything. How he ended up here. Why he had a different name. He went to his office. Arthur remained alone, stunned. His son. He looked at his watch. An hour and a half had passed, and he sat there, unable to move. There was a knock. "Good morning, Arthur Sterling." "Why aren't you working?" George Baker peeked in. "I'm going now." Arthur got up. "What's wrong with you? You look lost." "No, everything's fine. Maybe even good." He picked up the broom, went outside, tried to distract himself. Victor avoided meeting him all day. He didn't know how to look him in the eye. What to do next? At the end of the day, he quietly left. At home, he refused dinner, went to the bedroom. Alone with his thoughts, understanding that he couldn't hide it, he returned to the kitchen. Eleanor, Leo, Can you come here for a minute? Yes. Something wrong? Eleanor Vance came first. Yes. Something is wrong. Sit down. We need to talk. Leo peeked in. You called, Dad? Yes. Sit down. I need to tell you something. Eleanor and Leo sat down. They exchanged bewildered glances. I don't know how to start. This might shock you. Victor hesitated. Just say it as it is. It's easier that way, Leo said. Arthur Sterling. He's my father. Victor sat down, looked at them. Eleanor gasped. What? Victor, are you sure? But your father. I'm sure. Yay, Grandpa! Leo jumped up, hugged his father, then his mother, and ran to his room. Leo seems happy. That's something, Eleanor smiled. Yes, it's just, I don't know what to do next. Accept it as fact. And talk. Get to know each other again. Eleanor took his hand. Leo is happy. I understand. The main thing is that you accept it. You're right. Victor hugged his wife. She always knew how to find the right words. Feeling slightly calmer, Victor was able to eat. He spent the evening with his family, fell asleep on the couch. In the morning, he hurried to work. He wanted to talk to his father, to invite him home. Good morning, Mr. Blackwood, Arthur said out of habit. Good morning, Father. Victor froze. He had spoken the word for the first time. How would you feel about coming over tonight? Meeting Eleanor and Leo? Arthur froze. Afraid. Are you sure now is the right time? I think so. Victor promised to stop by in the evening. At the end of the day, he came for Arthur. Let's go home. Arthur couldn't move. He gathered his strength, locked the utility room, walked to his son's car. He was very nervous, but seeing Leo running towards him, shouting, Grandpa, he relaxed. They got to know Eleanor and Leo anew. Dinner was easy, relaxed. Leo didn't leave Grandpa's side. Eleanor Vance suggested he stay the night. In the morning, Victor and Arthur arrived together. Victor went to his office. Arthur went to the utility room. What was that? George Baker caught up with him at the door. Hey, what do you mean? You arrived with Victor Blackwood together? Am I dreaming? You're not dreaming. Arthur smiled. He pinched him. Then explain. My brain is exploding. I can only tell you, for now. It's a secret. Victor is my son. George Baker froze. Right. And Abramovich is your nephew. I'm serious. George Baker turned pale. Damn. So you mean. Exactly that. I'm in shock. George Baker was speechless. Arthur used the moment, slipped past him, and went outside to work. A week had passed since the meeting with Detective Jenkins. The detective called Victor, asked him to come in urgently. Victor hoped for good news. He put aside his work. He went. In the office, the detective was serious. Any good news? Victor asked. Unfortunately, no. We've been watching Thorne for a week. No results. There are suspicious individuals around him, but no evidence. So what now? He won't leave me alone. I understand. That's exactly why I suggest we provoke Thorne into taking active measures. It's dangerous, but it's the only way we'll catch him. How? I can't help with that. It needs to be related to your business. Figure something out. The main thing is, do it soon, before we stop surveillance. I'll try. I'll need a day or two for a plan. I believe in you, and I ask for the same from you. Don't worry about the consequences. We'll cover you. The detective's words only increased Victor's anxiety. Victor returned to the office. He was thinking about how to provoke Thorne. He remembered Thorne was interested in tenders, deals. A plan formed. In the morning, on his way to the office, he called Thorne. Good morning, Mr. Thorne. Well, well. Look who it is. Good morning, Victor Blackwood. What do you want? The voice was disdainful. To meet. To talk. I'm not sure I need that. We've already talked. You made it clear. Today's conversation will change a lot. Meaningfully. Thorne was intrigued. All right. Come by at 1. I'll give you a few minutes. He hung up. The plan was working. Victor arrived at the office, told George Baker to be extra vigilant. Half an hour in his office. He was typing something, rushed out with a folder. Got in his car, drove to the meeting. Outside Thorne's office, Victor sat in his car, nervous. He lit a cigarette, took a few drags, got out. Guards were waiting, led him to Thorne. Well, hello, Victor Blackwood. Glad to welcome you. Smugly. Good morning, I'm a busy man. I won't take up much of your time. I've prepared a proposal for the tender, for the cottage development. I intend to win. The documents are in perfect order. Despite the actions of my former secretary, I'm ready to leave you with nothing. Victor ostentatiously waved the folder. What are you trying to pull? Do you think I'm a fool? Ironic. See for yourself. Look at these numbers. Victor threw the folder onto the table. By the way, this is a copy. You can keep it. For your amusement. Thorne looked through the first few pages, his face twisted. I'll destroy you. No need for threats. I'm used to everything. Victor appeared calm on the outside. Inside, chaos. Get out before I throw you out myself, Thorne shouted. Leaving. Victor walked out, closed the door. Thorne lit a cigarette, called 2 of his men. You screwed up again. This time, do it right. Fast. If you fail, I won't forgive you. Boss, just tell us what. This Blackwood is annoying. Should we take care of him? No. He has to give everything up himself. Don't touch him. Your task is with his son again. Only this time, alive and well. Take the boy out of town. We'll blackmail Blackwood. He'll withdraw from the tender. Sell the company at our price. It will be done, boss. After the meeting with Thorne, Victor returned to the office. He knew something would happen soon. Leo arrived to see his father. Asked if Grandpa could come out for a couple of hours. He wanted to hang out at the park. Victor was against it. Leo insisted. Promised to be back soon. Victor, tired of the pleading, agreed. Leo happily ran to Arthur. Grandpa! Dad said yes. To the park. On the way to the park, Arthur noticed a car, driving slowly, suspicious. He tried not to show it. He quickened his pace. Leo was having fun. Arthur tried to distract him, while he himself was nervous. In the park, rides, swings, carousels, cotton candy. Tired, Arthur sat on a bench. Leo stayed nearby. A call. His father. Leo took the phone. Hi, Dad. We're at the park. Everything's fine. Hi. Great. Let me talk to Grandpa. Leo handed over the phone. Grandpa, Dad wants to talk. Hello, Victor. Something wrong? Doesn't seem like it, but I have a problem with a competitor. Be careful. Be cautious. If anything suspicious happens, call me or George Baker. Don't worry. Everything will be all right, Arthur replied, deciding not to mention the car. While Arthur was on the phone, Leo didn't sit still. He started juggling a soccer ball. He kicked it too hard. The ball flew towards the park exit. I'm counting on you. Be careful. Come back soon, Victor said. Got it. Deal. Arthur ended the call. He turned around. 2 men, unknown, dragging Leo towards a car. That very car. The one that almost hit Leo the day they met. He understood. Criminals. The same ones. They were being followed. Arthur lunged. To help. He tackled one. Tried to protect his grandson. A sharp blow to the head. Darkness. Victor called Leo. No answer. He called Arthur. No answer. Kidnapped. He called Detective Jenkins. Detective! My son has been kidnapped. Hello. Calm down. It's in Thorne's interest to blackmail you. He won't hurt your son until you sell the company. Use this. Dictate your terms. Understood? Yes. All right, I'll try. Victor hung up. The phone rang again immediately. Hello. You're doing the right thing. If you listened earlier, you wouldn't have problems. Thorne's voice. What do you want? Your son, and the old man who was with him. I have them. openly. Thorn didn't know Arthur was Leo's grandfather. "What do you want?" "You withdraw from the tender. You sell me the company. For the amount I offered, I could have taken everything for free. But I'm honest." "All right. Agreed. I need a few hours to prepare the documents." "No problem. 3 hours. And don't call the police, otherwise your son will suffer very badly." Thorn hung up. Victor was scared, but he understood. Only the detective could help. He called Jenkins back, told him everything. The detective already knew. He was monitoring Thorn's calls. He asked Victor to stall the conversations with the criminals, to pinpoint their location. 10 minutes later, the phone rang. "Hello, you wanted to talk to your son?" A bandit's voice. "Hello. Is he all right? How is he?" Victor was stalling. "He'll tell you himself." The phone was given to Leo. "Hi, Dad. Are you going to save us?" Leo's voice was frightened. "Hi, son. Calm down. Everything will be all right. I will definitely save you. Don't doubt it." Victor watched the clock. Would there be enough time? A couple more sentences. Leo couldn't take it. He started crying. Asked for help. The bandit snatched the phone, broke it, hit Leo. Victor called the detective back. He learned that the location had been traced. He called Thorn. "I'll be there soon. We'll sign." Meanwhile, Arthur woke up. His son, nearby, safe. He tried to calm him down. The door opened. The kidnappers. They wanted to take Leo. Arthur jumped up. His hands were tied. He tried to interfere. The bandit pushed him away, hit him. At that moment, policemen stormed into the old house. They subdued the bandits. Leo rushed to his grandfather. He was crying. Arthur calmed him down, asked for a phone to call his son. He arrived at Thorn's office. They met. Victor showed the documents. "Make sure everything is fair." While Thorn was looking at the papers, Arthur managed to get through. "Hi, son. Leo and I are all right. We're safe." "Really?" "Yes, don't worry." Victor hung up, sent a text to the detective. "Safe." "The deal is off," Victor said. He snatched the documents. Thorn went ballistic, grabbed his phone to call the bandits. At that moment, Detective Jenkins and his men entered the office. Arrest. A few days later, Victor appeared at Arthur's utility room door. "Father, get ready. Let's go home." Arthur looked up. "You don't need to work here anymore. You have me. And it's time for you to spend time with your grandson. Especially since Eleanor and I are expecting another child soon."